Good, man. How you doing? Good, good. How's everybody doing? Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you. It's a very big pleasure to be here as well. I'll try to speak up, make sure everybody can hear me. Um, it, I have actually a very interesting story during COVID. You know, it's been a very, very fun experience and very good experience for me. And I know that's probably not what most people are saying right now. Um, so I moved to Nashville a little over a year and a half ago, or probably right at a year and a half, a year and some things at this point. And obviously for culinary reasons, my career, I wanted to go cook there, maybe progress, go further into my career than I was at the point. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, around that area. Spent some time here in Florida as well, growing up, and then back and forth, and you know, then I settled in Charlotte, and now I'm in Nashville. So that being said, I got a restaurant job in Nashville upon moving there, and worked there and kind of talked with the chef at the time who was working on some other great things, and a very awesome chef, and he's done a lot for the city and he still does. Um, Shout out to Brian Weaver if he sees this, but I got to a point where I was just doing the same thing that I had done time and time again, even before coming there, and I just kind of got to a point in my life where I'm 29, or I was gonna be 29 this year. I'm 29 now, but I needed to move forward to make something my own, to start pushing towards that future that success. Eventually, we have to cross that bridge at some point. We can't bang the line forever. We can't be that line cook forever.
Right.
It's fun, and a lot of us have the energy, and we can do it, but it's not ideal when you're trying to start a family and settle down, or maybe you're at a different point in your life. It's fun, and it's great, and even moving up in management, two chef, executive chef positions, you learn, you have fun, you enjoy it, and then you still get to a point where is this enough, or is this making me happy? It's a lot of different bridges you can cross in that position.
Right.
And for me, at the point, like I was saying, I had just been in the same position probably four times at this point. And as a sous chef, you pick up the slack, you do what you got to do, and that's it. But sitting down, talking to him, putting it into perspective, and then actually, realizing what I needed to do was just leave restaurants in general. Wait, whether it be for a time, maybe it's indefinitely, whatever. Just leave them, give myself some space, but still dealing in the culinary world. So I wanted to start my own business part time on the side, personal chef gig. I built a little bit of a clientele with people that believed in me and thought I could do it, and from there it just kind of spread by word of mouth. So I had left restaurants in January, right at well, no, no, no. Sorry. I left them right at the end of February, and I took a part-time job, teaching cooking classes at Scarlet Cobb. You know, uh, good money, part-time, but even with everything happening, and then that got shut down, and can't do this, can't do that. Well, furloughed, and anyways, my business took off during COVID. I don't do any big parties. I offer a wide variety of services, meal prep, private dinners, business catering, what have you. Jack of all trades, basically. And it was off a whim. Something I felt passionate about, and I felt I had, good moral support. I had good family support, and just do it. Just do it. And I did it. And like I said, it's been very good for me. I've had a very different experience during COVID than most people. I'm very happy about that, and I'm happy I get to talk to you about it.
No,
But
and exactly. This is literally why we started with it because, uh, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and if you adapt it in today's environment, then you get to reap a lot of the benefits from people who are you know not doing or not trying to hustle and trying to take a step back and let I guess life dictate where they end up versus where you wanted it to be or where your ambitions are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's not easy, and you're right. That's something that everyone comes, you come to that bridge. Whether should I push further? Should I not? What could come of this? And everyone's going to handle it differently. But yeah, I mean, when push comes to shove, I mean, especially as a cook or a chef, like you got to get going. You know, when it, the shit will get off the pot. And for me, it just came down to a point of how much can I help someone else build their dream beyond helping build my own dream. You know, and in this day and age, as much as a lot of chefs, we try to hold on to what we come from, what our industry comes from, what is deep rooted in our industry is to serve, to cook, to literally be everything about your job.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's centered around 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day in a place. It becomes part of you, you know, and if you're stressed about work, it's going to affect your life. It's in every industry. It happens everywhere. But more so with us, there's not a lot of uh, gratitude that comes with this job. There's a thankless profession in a lot of these, um, and I think in the past probably 10 to 15 years, it started to open up more as far as like open kitchens and let people see what these guys do. And that's a good thing because I've been on both sides of it. I've seen both sides. I've worked behind kitchen doors, and I've worked in open kitchens, and it does that opens it up a little bit more. It gives you a little bit more gratification.
I think definitely as a cook, working in a closed kitchen versus an open kitchen, you first of all, you as the cook or the chef, you get to enjoy that ambiance with the guest, and you're hearing music, you see the vibe. It's it puts you in a better state of mind, and you make some better food versus having those fluorescent lights. Uh, you know, the same light and the same ambiance, no music, closed kitchen. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely been honed to more of a craft from its militaristic background. And I think that's very important, and I think that has been the biggest thing that's progressed the industry. And that's what kind of gives you more of an idea to push further and want more. That you don't just have to work a line cook position. You don't just have to work this hotel position. Like you can make something your own, and that's not. I'm not going to say that's not something that's common in a lot of industries, but I think more so in this industry, once you kind of learn that, kind of learn the game a little bit of you know, whether it be a simple recipe game or you know, of learning how to buy things, or once you learn it a little bit, you can duplicate it in your own way. And so that does leave a lot of room for innovation, but also that does leave a lot of room for sloppiness and people that think they know better or just want to do something. And I'm all for push and do what you want to do. People, do what you want to do. Sell a plate, sell plates out of your house. Who cares? Do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. But I think there are things that are defining that make you different when you go about those decisions. Whether you're handling it from a perspective of I've managed restaurants for a long time, or a perspective of uh, I think I can do this. You know what I mean? Like it's different. But either way, like I said, I'm all for it. Go for, dude. If you want to sell plates out of your house, sell plates out of your house. Sell, a meat and three out of your house. Do what you got to do, and if it's successful, run with it. If it's not, then maybe go back to the drawing board. With
I
that
love
being
that.
said,
I love hearing that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, take a shitty situation, try to make the best of it, and then I think there is no better time to start than 2020. I would say that's definitely it's going to be a year that it's going to be written in the books for how different uh, people came out of it with the decisions that they ended up making, and to hear your perspective and to hear your motivation, and it makes you a stronger character, makes you a better person, to do it the right way, but still be ambitious, still take precaution, and put that level of quality and organization into something, and dedication, and see it flourish during times like this. It's sounds very rewarding, and I bet it is.
it has been. I mean, it's had its ups and downs. It definitely hasn't been easy. I also got married in the middle of this, which was another kind of
Congratulations, congratulations.
thank you, thank you. We appreciate that. Which and we kept it low key. We tried to be as appeasing to I don't want to say the rules, but we tried to be as accepting as we could. We kept it real small. A lot of it was, family we knew had been quarantined. We had people that were going to be able to come and they couldn't come because of COVID situations. So we kind of dealt with a lot and we made it happen. And it was definitely under 30 people. It was in a huge cabin out in the middle of the mountains in beautiful Tennessee in the middle of the summer. And we had a beautiful time. And like I said, we tried to respect as much as possible. We tried to keep our distance as much as possible. And nothing came of it. Knock on wood. I'm not trying to gloat and blow, but through this, I am one of the lucky stories as of now. And this is going to be a forever changing thing. Whatever. We're not here to talk about COVID, but we are to an extent, but not that. And like I said, we did what we did, and we're here.
Right. And
It's that same kind of level of responsibility of, like I said, knowing whether you can run a business or that you think you can. It's that same level of responsibility of learning yes and no, what you can and what you can't do. You know, and I think if you carry that with you in a lot of aspects of life, it'll take you a lot further than just kind of being hands off about things.
yeah, John, and if you can give me a sort of timeline, because you're in where you sorry, where you at again before I say the wrong state?
Whereas I'm in Miami right now, Miami, Florida.
You're in Miami right now, but during February and April, um, where were you at, and how is COVID affecting life
Yeah,
situation, goal situation,
absolutely.
mindset,
Yeah,
and all that?
of course, of course. So I was in Nashville, still in Nashville. That's where I live and reside currently. Um, I left the restaurant. I was at a restaurant called Butcher and Bee, a very popular restaurant in Nashville. An amazing restaurant, an amazing concept. I loved that place, everything about it. So like I said, going through the gears and going through the motions of things you've gone through before, no matter the restaurant, no matter the style, you just kind of you're gonna get burnt. Regardless of how strong you are, or how much time you put into self care or work care, you're gonna get worn down. And that's just that's what happened to me. So I left there and cooking part time or teaching cooking classes part time and doing private dinners on the side. Um, February, March, not as busy, but progressively picking up more clients, teaching more classes, and then everything hit. So we get furloughed at Furlough Cobb, and then like I said, once the summer started hitting and it warmed up a little bit more, business was really good for me. Even through until August when we got married, I was busy. When we got back from it was basically a week and a half worth of um, being in the mountains and then taking our time, our few days to ourselves, and coming back. Um, and from from there until November, until the beginning of this month, I was, business. It was good. I had, I've gained a lot of clients, and I put a lot of forward motion into this business. You know what I mean? So far, so that much I can say has been great.
And has the second wave affected you in any ways?
I think it has a little bit. I mean, I know I've been traveling, so I've I know that's been one factor for me, but I definitely think it's going to be a factor for me up until maybe the beginning of the year, maybe after. I do have a feeling. I do have some books for next month, but it's not as busy as it has been for now. So we'll see. But I do think it's going to be a factor. And that's just kind of that's a given. Because like I said, even at the very beginning of this, I had some business, but only until the summertime. Like so, once the summertime hit, it was nonstop.
Right.
It was great. It was great. But still, trying to be very careful, not doing anything because it can involve people, and making sure people are aware of everything. It's been great. The other side of that is what's to come from the legal side of it. What's going to happen a year from now? Whatever statute is passed about a business opening during COVID or before COVID. All the things that small businesses are going through. Was it a great idea? Probably in the long run because of COVID, no. But being the fact that it being a small business in my home, that I'm not trying to become something bigger and understanding the situation.
You bring up a great point. I mean, a lot of chefs, started doing meals to go, meal plans, and that's obviously taking market share from, the restaurants that are trying to survive. But at the same time, you were saying, there's only so much you could do and go through the repetition and, give so much of your time for somebody else's dream that, now is the perfect catalyst for a small business and to do something on a small scale because you have so much more control. Everybody's kind of laying low, being very decisive of their decisions. People are eating out. They have no choice, really. So I think it's a perfect time to put all those skills that you've spent learning all these years, whether it's cooking, whether it's watching somebody manage something, whether it's managing yourself, but kind of taking all your ideas and experience and creating something. And I think that's amazing to hear somebody doing that, and and it's working, and now that it's getting traction, you're investing more time, and I guarantee you're doing a lot of research, and every day you're tweaking things, and it's only going to grow from now. And if you can be successful in 2020, I think sky's the limit, whether it's opening up a restaurant later or it's, but I think that's great.
No, I agree, and I will say a lot of this can come from working for chefs and having mentors that have surpassed, certain obstacles that were presented to them. That being said, I worked for a chef that opened a restaurant in the middle of a recession in a part of town in Charlotte that was told, this is going to be shut down for 2 years because they're putting a transit system and building it in. Survived something like that, worked through that, and it's still in operation to this day. Has remodeled twice since that has happened in its 14-year life now of the restaurant. And he started out as an executive chef, CDC. He had a partnership with one of the investors. He worked there and worked there and worked there and bought out every investor until he became the sole owner, and then has since opened his second restaurant that is a concept of the first restaurant, but not the same. Still different in its own right. Um, and it's still open with both of those today. I'm hoping, and we're planning on me being there for New Year's to do a pop up with those guys. And that's something that's big for me and something that means a lot to me as a chef and a cook. Coming from learning from this guy to moving forward out of his restaurant to other restaurants and around the country and learning and growing into doing my own thing.
That's
Um,
amazing. And it's awesome how it came, full circle, and now you're cooking side by side with your mentors.
yeah, I agree 1,000%. And I want that for anyone. I want that for any cook that has been in those kinds of positions, that has worked with people that truly get it. Because, we all know the story. There's good owners, there's shitty owners, there's good chefs, there's bad chefs. Have I always been a great chef? No. I've had shitty moments. Have I treated people wrong? Yes, of course. I've been a young chef in a big position before and not known how to handle things. But then you grow and you learn and you understand, how to handle things, what to worry about, what not to worry, and when you can recognize those things, I think that's when the gears are turning that you can be like, man, maybe I can do this myself, and I think any good chef, even whether you're a restaurant owner or a restaurateur or a business person, you're gonna recognize that in people, and I would want for my cooks to to move forward and to progress and to see them do their own thing someday. I think that's ideal. I think that's what you should be looking for in your cook. Not to say you can't get people and to put their time in and to work for you and be a part of your thing, because you're always going to need that. That's kind of my thing. I don't want to take away from people that want to be a part of something like that are learning in the beginning of their path. But I think as a cook and a chef, you should come to a point that you realize either you can do this on your own, or maybe it's not something you want to do anymore. And I think as chefs and owners, that's what you should be trying to, you know, put inside of your cooks and your chef's mind. Not about Instagram chefs and not about what's this person plating and what's the food trend, because all that shit can be learned. You can. That's nothing.
Right. I had a great chef that would say, you can't teach character, but you can teach someone how to cook.
That's right. That's exactly right. My same mentor was like, bring me your bring me what you think are the worst people. Bring me what you think are bring me your drug addicts. Bring me your whatever. Bring me your whoever that society wants to cast out and put a dark cloud over, and I'll make them into something. And I've seen him do it. You know, I'm not going
And
to say
that
I
takes a
taught him, but
lot. That takes a lot to invest, right? Because you are investing time, right? When somebody to hone one's skills, a mentor has to invest his time and energy, and kind of transfer that vibration over
yeah,
to
they have to. Yeah, their hard work, their years of sacrifice, they're giving over in an instant to a person. That's hard to do. Really hard to do. And that's why we come from such a hardcore background of chefs and the industry being what it was 20, 30 plus years ago. That's what we come from. People that had to go sacrifice and give that up, and they're just they're giving it up begrudgingly. They don't want to necessarily give that information away because it took them so long to learn it and gain that information.
right.
It's hard.
And that was 20, 30 years ago. Nobody would share a recipe with you or anything.
No, no,
It's just
no.
like, do this one task. That's all you know.
Right. Which kind of brings, it's a whole nother topic we could talk about as far as, the industry now and what what some chefs are trying to do as far as, giving benefits and trying to help people. Mental health is one thing we could, these are, we could go down these roads for hours, but just that, that being said, is like these chefs that are thinking about their cooks' futures, not just that they're working a stressful 60 hours a week. In that 60 hours, yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but what else can be beneficial to this person in those 60 hours, or maybe less, to not only make their life easier, but my life easier, you know? And it's hard to do when you strive for success, it's hard, because we're so driven. We want to become perfect, but it's so hard to chase that. It's so hard to be that. But we want it as chefs and cooks. That's what you want.
Right. And being in a restaurant environment, I think cooks are the rock stars, and they definitely have those bad habits that don't help mental health, don't help financially, don't help with self care. But we're so driven that we don't even let that affect us until years of that till that builds up, and it almost snowballs, and then it's really hard to stop.
Absolutely. Agreed. Agreed. And in all honesty, well, I mean, we do. I mean, we top the charts in a lot of negative reports in the world, as far as the industry, highest stress level, lowest pay, there's just a lot of things that we top the charts out of. And I think that's something that can be reversed. And like I was saying before, I think there's some chefs that are really trying to make a shift up until now, which is our biggest, this has been the biggest thing for food since, famine or the plague. It's, aside from COVID, or I mean, I'm sorry, this whole COVID situation is, it's just thrown a wrench in the whole thing and everything about it. And I'm not going to say that's bad to an extent, as far as a lot of cooks losing jobs and a lot of restaurants going on.
How
A lot
is
of small businesses.
how has COVID been on shutdown wise? In Nashville.
There's quite a few places that are, that haven't made it, that are struggling, and that aren't coming back. There's places that have tried to hold on by staying closed for a while, and then once it got lackadaisical, they opened, and it just still wasn't enough for them. And also, before COVID even hit Nashville, there was a huge tornado that came through. It hit a lot of the northeastern part of Tennessee. Um, it wreaked a lot of havoc, and especially in the east side of Nashville, which is a very big food part of the city. The whole city, I mean, in general, Nashville is just food driven. But the east side of town has, it's a very eclectic neighborhood. Very, there's every cuisine you could think of it, almost every cuisine you could think of, and all sorts of small independent businesses that got wrecked with this tornado that destroyed. I mean, destroyed a city. It's almost unheard of sometimes, of like an actual inner city getting hit by a tornado like this. But it was just on the path, and they got wrecked with the tornado, and then COVID hit. So there was already a lot of things, holding people back, and there was a dark cloud over it already, for lack of a better term. But and then COVID hit, and there's a lot of places that just went to the ground. And you still see there's construction work still being done from the tornado damage now, still.
That's crazy. That's crazy to be like, how much more can, people take, and business owners and investors, and, when is that all going to come back to something that we called normal?
Right, exactly. What's even normal anymore? What's it going to be? You know, but agreed. And I will say one thing about Nashville is the sense of community there. It's out of this world. They take care of their own. They've managed. They struggled. They pushed. Um, and a lot of places that you maybe thought were going to go down haven't gone down, and they're still fighting. They're still open, and I think being open through this right now is like you said. If you can be successful in 2020, I think that kind of sets a precedent. You can be successful through anything. And that also back to almost at the beginning when I was saying, like, as a chef, there's all these things that come at you, and that's one of them. You have to change with the time, and I mean that's a human thing. That's just kind of a human thing you have to do, and a lot of people aren't understanding of that. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. They just kind of want things the way they were, and that's understandable. But to really, live a successful life, and I say successful loosely because that can be interpreted 1,000 ways. You gotta roll with the punches. You just have to, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but I think it's something people have to do.
No, 100%. And kind of going off to, what you were talking about earlier, with, the young guys coming in and learning and putting a couple chips under their belt. I mean, right now it's nearly impossible to go do anything if you're a young cook, I think. To somebody who hasn't built their repertoire and connections and network, what would be one thing that, or one tool or one thing or something that would help them out in today's world, in today's time?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Um, I'm gonna give it an answer, but I want them to take it with a grain of salt, and I want them to put themselves out there, but I also want them to think a little bit. In this society, in our day and age, in this culture, the way we live now, it's very easy to get people behind you into an idea and a mindset. But as a chef and a cook, you should really think about it. You should really try to understand what you want to do, or maybe who you want to do it with if you are reaching out to people. But I also think putting yourself out there is very important, which basically comes down to, don't be afraid of failure. That's I think that's one of the biggest and best tips I can give to anyone to try anything, because in this day and age, you can pick up a phone, you can pick up a computer, you can reach out to people. Whether they can actually get it themselves or read it or when they respond or whatever happens, that's kind of in its own time. But we are capable of reaching out to people and letting our ideas be heard. So I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid of failure from all of it. That was a long, drawn out answer, but put yourself out there, but really just think about it.
Right, because there's a lesson within each failure, right? And you can't succeed without failure.
That's right.
Uh,
Don't be afraid of it. You cannot be afraid of it. Because it's going to be there. Just like Jesus said, you do not grow without failure.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great tools, and I think the younger generation knows how to use them uh, with much more ease. I just think they need to hone it in and use it, towards something that will advance their career or help them out in what way or another. Going off that, what would be some of your biggest hardships during COVID and being a small business? Um, you know what gets you positive, right? Because um, that I think that's a very important thing. Everybody has a different way to express positivity or a positive mindset. Whether it's self care or doing other things, having a great support system. I know you were telling me you just got married, so that's obviously awesome and adds to your life, and you have a support system that is there for you. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's great. She's been there 100% from the beginning. Even so it's a very funny story. I'll give you a little background. We dated in high school. We knew each other in high school. Um, we kind of went our separate ways after that. We kept in contact for a little bit into the college years, not much, and then we just kind of went our own ways in life. And for about 7 years, I don't know, Yeah, about 7 years. And then, I decided to reach out one day, just kind of, see how she was doing. Cause, you know, we had both lived a lot of life. And in all honesty, it was just to see how she was doing and to, you know, just to check in on her. And from there, it just kind of started progressing into something else. And I think we had both just lived enough life to understand what we wanted. And, the rest is history, as they say. So, I'm happy. She's been amazing. She has been a huge support. Some of the heartaches from this, and what keeps you positive. Back to your question, is that exactly, having a support structure, whether it be friends, family, yourself, if it's all you have, and I know that's a hard challenge in itself to stay positive and to try to, and, push yourself, but any type of support structure you can have. And I say that loosely because that could lead to a lot of things. That could be good or bad in situations, but a support structure. Um,
100%. You could have definitely a negative support structure, and
right. Ideally, people that are pushing you towards the right things and keeping the right things in your ear, preferably. And I know that's not easy. And all that stuff comes with age and time, unfortunately. Just one of those things. Um, Another hardship that I think a lot of us go through is looking and seeing other people's success and seeing what other people are doing and being like, damn, I should have thought of that, or man, I should have, or what can I be doing? And not that that's bad, but don't dwell on that, because that's something I tend to find myself doing, is dwelling on, damn, I should have done this, damn, I should have done that, and I just think things happen in time, and I'm a believer in that because I see it, even though I let my mind forget about those things sometimes. Um, but I think that's a big thing for sure.
no, definitely. And going off that, ideas are amazing, but without execution, they're worth nothing. And then execution is great, but without an idea, it's worth nothing. So it's like this yin and yang that we walk through and put ourselves through. And whatever choices we make, they're right? Because we have to live with them
That's
regardless.
right. That's right.
It's like about acceptance and kind of moving on.
That's right. You can't live with regret because at some point that is something you wanted, you know, and it was either a negative or a positive, and you got to learn and grow from it.
Right, and have you experienced where too much work came in too fast, and you're like, damn, this is a lot.
Uh, there was a few times, yeah, during this that I felt a little pressured because it's me from the ground up. It's me. I've had one of my chef buddies. I've had him help me a couple times. My wife has helped me a time. Um, but other than that, like it's me ground up. You know, whether it's responding to emails, planning this, planning that. Buying, purchasing, prepping, organizing, orchestrating. It's me. Um,
And it's awesome to hear that right off the bat you said you kind of went with this is all me, but when I'm in a tight squeeze, I have people to bring on. And I think it's very important to preach that you know don't be scared to ask for a hand. There's
yes,
no
always
problem with
ask for
that.
help. I'm sorry, that does not make you look like a weak person in my mind. That makes you strong. If you're strong enough in your mind to realize you need help, then ask for help. That does not make you a weak individual, and that has been a hugely mistaken concept in our society. You know,
I agree with that a lot, because a lot of chefs, a lot of cooks, a lot of people who have an idea and don't know how to execute it, or have too much coming at them. They're afraid to ask for help, and being scared that it's gonna show them as weak. I think you're definitely right that
yeah, it kind of goes back to the being afraid of failure. It's kind of that same idea in your mind that like I have this idea, but I don't want to fuck it up. It's like, well, I have this idea, and I know somebody that's got probably 10 more years of life living experience than I do. Why don't I ask them? Excuse me. And and some people don't, and it's hard. It's hard because of exactly back to another beginning part of our conversation of where we come from in this industry. It's fake it till you make it, or it's muscle it out. It's get by any means. And it's learn. You can't stop. You can't ever stop learning in this industry. You'll never stop.
I love that it's one of my favorite lines. Fake it till you make it, because it's absolutely meaningless in the fact that if you're putting in the work and you're dedicated and you see yourself somewhere, you're gonna get there. But if you're sitting around and dreaming about things and haven't even put it on paper or made it like a prep list or small goals, there's no way you're gonna make it, right?
Right.
But I feel like faking it, and this phrase "fake it till you make it," I think it's fake the dreams and the life you want to live, and then go ahead and make it. Like, you have to go and do it, right?
I like that. I like that because you're taking that and you're using it as motivation. You're not, you know what I mean? You're not. I like the way you put that. I like that.
Right, and a lot of people, when I used to say it as a young line cook, I'm gonna fake it till I make it. I didn't know how to
Right.
sear a piece of fish or anything like that, but like, I was looking at people searing a fish. I wanted to learn how to sear this fish. The first time I did it, it was butchered garbage. I mean,
Yeah.
but that didn't stop me, right? And I think everything we talked about today, it's all about pushing through when it's hard.
Oh,
Ask for help. Start something. But don't like start something and then not follow through or not do your research or not do it safely. I think you were preaching a lot of that today.
absolutely. Yeah. You should definitely look into things before you venture. But that being said, it doesn't make things impossible. Um, you know, we do live in one of the greatest countries on the planet as far as being able to do whatever the fuck you want. Let's just be real, and especially working in restaurant industries and hospitality industries, we know that for a fact. We live that. We've done that. We've been there. We've done it. So exactly that. If you can do that working for someone in a restaurant, why can't you do it for yourself? And why can't you create that for other people? You know what I mean? Like, that's my biggest thing as well. What I want to eventually accomplish with my company, my business, is to have a private area, a private venue for those cooks, those young chefs that wouldn't normally get that opportunity to have a place to come work, have fun, or not even work, but to do their own thing, to have a private dinner, to have a night of whatever the fuck they want to do that they wouldn't otherwise get to do, you know. And that's just the kind of thing I want to create, and wherever that goes, wherever, I don't care. But I say that now, but you know, the future is, we don't know what the future holds for anyone.
And
But
it's
that's
so
kind
awesome
of
to
where I'm
hear
at.
that this is gonna be episode 10, and we've spoke to 9 other chefs, and everybody said it in their own ways, but Chef Amar kind of was the first guest chef, and he said, take care of your people and your people will take care of you. And you're reinstating that by saying, Nashville has seen some hard times, but the sense of community is amazing, and the sense of support is amazing from the community. Your ambitions is to open a place to facilitate young culinary dreams and see where it takes them, and give them that shot. This podcast is meant for chefs and industry people to let their story be heard. Let them show their hardships, let them show their successes. Talk and bring this community back from this reality TV show to culinary students, to what actually happens in the restaurant environment. And kind of 2020, people have had enough. We had a bunch of looting, and a bunch of restaurants getting called out for racist or sexist and all of that. And I think right now it's good to give us a voice. Um,
I agree. I
Everybody
agree.
that is in this field.
I agree. I can't thank you enough for letting me come on and for just to give my story and even just some of my words and my views. That means a lot for me just in general because I agree. We need more of this. You know, the industry especially. All of us. Yes, as cooks, as chefs, as business owners, restaurateurs, hospitality managers, whatever you are in this field, we've all gone through it. You know, and I think through this year and through everything that we've had to work through, yeah, this is the least we can do is to provide a platform for people to talk and express themselves and get it out. It kind of goes into that mental health part. Like I said, we could talk about things for hours. Uh, but it's a big thing to let people be able to share their story, their experience, their hardships, their praises. It's important. You know, we work in this industry where it's very reward driven, but only on a small scale. Not everybody's getting those James beers. Not everybody's getting those Michelin stars. Not everybody's getting best restaurant of the year. Not everybody's getting 5 stars in their city. But it's a place where the restaurants that we all go through the same idea of a nightmare. We should have a place that we can talk and not just at someone's house pounding beers and smoking joints all night. Not that that's bad, but there's other ways to cope with these things, and I'm all for it.
And drinking beers and smoking joints. That just shows how close and interconnected we are, and how similar our thoughts are and perspectives and outlooks on life. And I love the idea that we're talking about so much positivity, and then we bring up beers and joints. Like, we're good people, and we're willing. We make choices that we want to make, and we're ambitious, and we're not scared to speak our voice. And I think our voice hasn't been heard enough, especially with one James Beard or 10 James Beard, but there's thousands of restaurants that are not getting small businesses. We were talking.
Things right. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you're right. And like these guys are doing things right, and they're crushing it, and they're doing amazing things. And it just kind of seems like that goes out the window with something. But I'm not here to talk about that. I was just agreeing with you. Go ahead.
No, I love that. And we were talking to two other chefs. One started his own Chicago style Gardenier condiment, and the community's been loving it, and showing him lots of love. And it just shows you that we might have a lot of similarities, but everybody has their own style and own fit, right? Not everybody's cut out to go work in a Michelin environment.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't be successful in the food and beverage industry. Doesn't mean you can't make a product or see a different perspective or do it differently.
I agree 1,000%. 1,000%.
And going on Nashville, I gotta know, what's the secret about Nashville hot chicken?
All right. I'll probably get shot for this, but no, I'm playing. Nashville hot chicken. You gotta brine it in the spice.
What spice?
You just have to use a blend of your own. It's definitely got to have a blend of some garlic, some cayenne, and whatever else you want. I mean, you could go. I want to be honest. Most people around here use cayenne. They just use a metric shit ton of it. What you do is you fry it, and in that same oil that you fried the chicken in. So if you take it the next day, you have it, reserved from the next day, or you pull from the batch. Anyways, you take some of that oil and you pour it back over the fried chicken, and you douse it with more of the spice.
So that it sticks to it.
Yeah, yeah. And and the oil is going to activate more of the spice. So you've got the spice fried into the chicken, and then you're coating it with oil and more of the spice. So you're really, what I mean. You're laying it on. Your taste buds are
Now,
gonna
is
completely.
the sandwich something new? Does it have to be bone in? And what's the best part of the chicken that it would be Nashville fried chicken?
Sandwich is a newer concept because you've seen with all the chain restaurants in the country coming up with fried chicken sandwiches. Making a Nashville hot chicken sandwich is definitely a newer concept. Um, but as far as eating Nashville hot chicken, it should be bone in. When you're just going to a place, whether it's Patty B's or Bolton's or Prince's, you need to order bone in chicken. Now the tenders are great, but the way they marinate it, we all know putting protein on the bone, you got to get bone in.
Love it, love it. And I always thought, how do you feel the day after you eat Nashville hot chicken? Is
Well,
it
for
this?
me, I feel it the same day, but the next day is probably even worse. It's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. I've built a little bit of a tolerance, but when I first started coming, I drove my wife nuts because I was whimpering like a child in the seat on our way back to North Carolina, as I had just finished off some one of the hottest levels of chicken I've probably ever had in my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that you shared that. And it sounds like a very true story. I don't think you can make that up.
Yeah, you can't make that up. No, that's a very true
I don't
story.
think I'd be able to handle anywhere near that amount of heat, but if I ever roll through, I'm going to definitely have to get that.
Come visit anytime, bud. We'll take care of you. We'll go around the city. We'll have some fun.
Now, what would be one thing you'd love Nashville to become famous for, or you've seen that's like, wow, I only see that in Nashville?
I want to say the sense of community. I want to say that because I'm not going to say that doesn't exist in other places, but what I've seen here, like I said, because the tornado came through and then COVID struck, and seeing places survive through this that you think would not, because it is a very dive bar driven city. We love our dive bars. We love them. They're held very dearly to the people of Nashville because there's a few of them that you can still smoke in, and people love that.
And what are the three biggest items you see that are served in dive bars? That's like pretty much at every dive bar you go to.
As far as alcohol or food,
Let's go alcohol and food. I want to know.
so alcohol is always going to be whiskey, PBR, and any local brewery from Nashville. Huge. Um, Food-wise, there's always going to be a burger. There's always a burger. No matter where you go, there's always a burger. There's always fried chicken, no matter where you go. And then for the third one, I mean, there's oh man, what are they called? They're oh man, I can't think. Gooey clusters. The gooey clusters.
Gooey
They're,
clusters. I knew I was gonna learn something. What are gooey clusters?
so there are quite a few variations of gooey clusters.
Love it.
They're mainly praline, caramel, and chocolate. It's this whole combination. Um, but then that being said, there are so many variations of them, and they've let like chefs come up with certain gooey clusters. One the chef I know, his name's Skylar Bush. He's come up with his own. It's got like matcha and macadamia and like all this stuff in it. Like, so it's a very popular dessert or sweet around here, and like I said, it's mainly based off praline, caramel, and chocolate. Um, but there's variations.
Love
So
it.
they're everywhere.
Love it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta add a fourth one. They're called what are the milkshakes called? Bushwhackers. So it is a milkshake, but it's an alcoholic beverage. And it's full of vodka and like rum and what are the chocolate liqueurs and sweet liqueurs. So you get one of those with like some barbecue, you're feeling pretty right.
Wow. Now
Yeah,
that sounds like a late
yeah.
night
I had to
treat.
add that one on there. I know you asked for three. I had to give you that one.
No, no, I love it. I love it because you know that every city has its own things that they love and grow to love, and you know, gooey clusters. That's the first time I've ever heard it, and it
Yeah,
sounds absolutely delicious. And you know, it's a Nashville thing, and I think there's, you know, a lot of potential in a product like that. And I just love, you know, I'm curious. I'm a curious, just like all chefs and industry people are very curious.
oh
You
yeah.
know,
What about Chicago? What's up there? What are your?
I would say nachos,
Oh yeah.
nachos. We're a French fry city. I would say
It's
heavy on
like
the
LA.
French
It's like
fries.
Cali. Cali's very French fry. Like it's all about the fries.
Fries. And then I would say, you know, Italian beef is huge for, like, you know, I would say we have bars, and then we have like these little, you know, especially downtown, it's all these like little late spots. Um,
They serve like loose meat sandwiches and stuff.
no, I would say like Italian beef is always open, uh, uh, and then a lot of Mexican inspired places, I would say.
That's a big thing in Nashville right now. I will say, Mexican this year has been huge in Nashville. There's been a lot of pop ups. There's been a lot of independent guys coming out, and they're doing a lot of very like you know cultured Mexican food, like you know a lot of OG food that they've brought from their regions of Mexico, and they're crushing it. It is actually Uh, I think East Nashvilleian is one of our media sources here as far as like food and entertainment in Nashville, and they got a whole article about them. There's like I think it's two or three different guys. Yeah, like the Mexican game is killing it in Nashville right
That's awesome to hear because that diversifies, you know, the scene a little bit.
now. Absolutely.
And then
So a
ramen.
guy
Ramen has been huge.
who is what is I'm sorry what was that?
Ramen soup, ramen
Oh
noodles.
yeah, ramen. Oh yeah, there's like I know there was two or three when I first moved here, and now there's probably a few more. Yeah, for sure. One of the pop up guys did one of the like birria ramen, so like Mexican birria with ramen, bro,
Sounds delicious.
stupid good. Oh my god, I would murder for that. So good.
That's awesome. What's your style of cooking, you would say?
Oh
Like,
man, so I'll give you a little background of I was born in North Carolina. My mom's family's from Costa Rica, and my dad, uh, most of his family origins are from Ireland. So I'm a pretty weird hybrid. Um, but growing up, I learned a lot of Italian food, and a lot of the restaurants I worked in were very Italian driven. But I also worked in a lot of French driven places, and one of the last restaurants I worked in before I moved here to or before I moved to Nashville, um, was called Haymaker. It's in Charlotte. It's a very French brigade, very French style driven kitchen, very modern Southern food, farm to table. We worked with over 100 farms. I mean, we scoured North Carolina for some of the best ingredients we could get. It was a great place to work. Um, so I do love a lot of French technique. I like modern technique, but I love very simple food. Um, you could say worldly, modern, simple for me, if you wanted to label it that way. But that being said, growing up eating Southern food, growing up eating Latin food, I love to cook. It doesn't matter what it is. I just love to cook.
I think that's
And
the
I
hardest question for a chef to answer, right? Because we know how to cook
it is.
everything, and it's
It
like
is.
I can't really define it with one cuisine anymore.
Right. Because there's so much that goes into like even just a one simple dish that, you know, it's got maybe three different cultures ideas in it, but it was executed one. Exactly. It is. I think that is one of the hardest questions. What about you? But,
I mean, that's like the hardest question to answer. I would have to say though, definitely the three would be like Mediterranean food, Asian, and then obviously the easiest one to throw is say New American. I cook New American food.
Yeah, I mean,
That it's
we all
like
cook
all
New American
inclusive,
food.
right?
We all live in America. We all cook New American
Exactly.
food.
That's the easiest one to be like, yeah, I cook New American food. No, but definitely,
Absolutely.
you
But
know,
it's hard to say Asian, right? Because there's so many
so
cultures.
Japanese.
Okay, yeah. All right. Because I
I,
love more Vietnamese Thai. That's where I go when I go Asian. Or more and Chinese too. I do love a lot of like Szechuan Chinese style.
And I gotta say, it's something about that heat that drives you guys to that Thai-ish Vietnamese cuisine because I have a chef buddy in Texas and he can eat a habanero whole and I'm just like looking at him like that's disgusting, but he loves Thai and Vietnamese food as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that comes too. Like, and I think a lot of it, if back to the whole labeling of the food. Like, if you watched me on a daily basis and saw the ideas I come up with, it would definitely gear more towards like an English style kitchen. Like I said, just clean, simple food. And I think a lot of that comes from so being Costa Rican, there's a lot of European descent in the culture, and I think and also with my father's European culture, it just kind of goes hand in hand. That that's where I kind of gear towards naturally in a kitchen. If I don't try to play and do my own thing, it just kind of goes to that simple, clean food. You know.
No, and I love that. I love that. And it's especially with today's times, it's refinement and what not throwing 36 different
Absolutely.
textures and that
Right.
I think people are kind of over that stage of food or maybe now is not really the time to be doing any of that anyways.
Yeah. Like nobody has time for fluid gels right
Exactly.
now.
Love that, yeah. Just nothing like a good 2-hour project.
That's a good T-shirt for 2020. Nobody has time for fluid gels.
That would make a great true cook shirt.
I agree. Shout out to Chris. I agree. I agree.
Well, John, you go by John. Does everybody call you
Yeah,
John?
John is. Yeah, it's just John. No Jonathan on this side.
Got it. Well, John, it was a pleasure to have you. Pleasure, hearing all your experiences, your background, your story. Keep killing it. We want to see nothing but success. Thank you for sharing, the ultimate secret recipe for the best Nashville fried chicken. So, how do people reach out to you? How do people order your food? Do you do any like? Is it all local? How do you run that side of the business? Let our
So yeah,
viewers know.
I try to source. Wherever I go, I source as local. So being a private chef, basically I'm a chef for hire. You can hit me up for meal prep, for private dinners, for corporate events, luncheons, things like that, catering needs. I obviously try to keep it small and low key right now. Um, definitely under the 20-person mark. Definitely under that right now. Most parties I've done, I've been 12 at the most during all of this, which has been fine. It's manageable for me. It's a little safer as far as I'm concerned. And it's also like it's just easier on me. Me trying to do 20 people by myself, it's not undoable, but I obviously would have to cut out things that I would like to do and services that I provide for people. But you can reach me on all my social media is at proper_Nash, and my website is www.propernash.com. Um, I'm working on some new things towards the future. Like I said, I may have that restaurant pop up coming up for New Year's, um, which I think that's pretty much in the bag. Just waiting for further details. And like I said, I want to work on some other things going forward in 2021 with the company, especially with things I've learned and just pushing forward to keep it afloat and build what I want to build with it.
That's amazing, John. Amazing, John. So everybody in Nashville who get to, you guys get to live in the proximity of the awesome Chef John. Go ahead and try his food. Support local. For all our viewers outside of Nashville, if you guys ever get a chance, obviously make sure to hit up Chef John, see what he's doing that week. And he will travel. So everybody hit up Chef John, traveling. Wherever you need him, he'll be there. Reserve him. And I want to see, I'm excited to see that pop-up go, and I hope, that everything goes smoothly and it's busy and it promotes you in the best possible way. And I hope that it opens a lot of new doors. But all our viewers that are watching in or are going to be watching later, make sure, to give him a follow, give him a like, check out his page, check out his website, leave some thoughtful comments. And likewise here, thank you, Chef John, for coming on another episode with Late Night with Chefs. We'll definitely be doing more seasons, and we'd love to get you back and talk about different areas. I think COVID is such a big red dot and the elephant in the room right now that we just kind of have to get it out of our system and let all the chefs be heard. But I think we have a lot more interesting conversations that we can have on this show.
I agree. I'd love to be a part of it. You got my info. Reach out. I'll be there anytime. But I love it.
Will do. All right, to all our viewers listening in tonight or later, make sure to follow, like, hit that notification button, do what you got to do, leave some awesome comments, and let us know if there was any questions that, were left unsaid or you want to ask or anything like that. Make sure you can always reach us in our DMs. All right, John, I'm going to let you go to sleep or do your thing. I know you're a busy man running your own business. That's awesome. And I love that you shared that. And I just hope that, somebody's going to hear it and that's going to motivate them to take that first step and go through those things.
Absolutely. Thank you, bud.
Exactly. All right, man. You have a good night.